Last Concola, and I'm pleased to speak on this bill. And it's an effort, and many private members' bills have been brought in as bills, and it's an effort to try and deal with the savage fact that we have over 10,000 people homeless and 4,000 children. Shocking. And while I mightn't agree with aspects of this bill, you know, and because all landlords, I believe, and bad, I certainly know that it's an effort to get the government to move some way. We've had so much piecemeal, Minister, and we have so many different ministers over the last 5-6 years. More ministers now than we had nearly houses built, and the promises made, and across the range. And the Deputy Alan Kelly was minister for a good while as well. He promised the world and all. So, as I said, Ed Horan brought forward a bill, and I'm not taking away from this bill, good or bad, and he has the expertise from his position as a master in the High Court, and brought forward, initially sponsored by Deputy John McGuinness, Senator David Norris, and myself, and indeed, backing up Father Peter McFerry and the Right to Homes organisation. And the reason that came forward was the time for piecemeal and clearly ineffective solutions to mortgage crisis was over. The original form of the bill was sponsored by, as I said, the three foregoing, Deputy McGuinness, Senator Norris and myself, and has been significantly revamped in line with standing orders of the Dáil. And that was, the money bill was the problem, but Ed, in fairness, went back at it again, and Peter McBurry and many others, and tried to organise something. And the fear I have this bill tonight, and I hope it's passed and supported. But, Ministers, we have given you more private members' bills and motions here, and even one on post that was passed unanimously by the Dáil, and one of our motions, and agreed by your Minister, the wording, and accepted. And nothing done about it. We see the post office closed. This is the same here. We're wasting a lot of time in here. And if wards could build houses, we'd build many of them, and we'd have less and less homelessness. So, will you please try and engage with the opposition? All the different groups have different ideas and have different coming at from different angles, and they want to help the housing. Deputy Healy had a bill only quite recently here as well, and but we're all trying to do our best. But there seems to be a huge inertia. A savage inertia in Department of Housing and Department and Planning, a huge inertia. And there was a huge inertia. County councils completely lost their way, and city councils, but building houses. They built them in the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s and the 90s and the 90s. And then the whole lot crashed. And now we can't get it restarted. And we have marginal, we have more announcements of marginal schemes and looking at them and everything else, but it's not happening. You keep making announcements, Minister, and regurgitated announcements a year after, 2 years later. We turned this out recently in Clonmel, in Glencorner. That was the second time this was turned in 2.5 years. I don't think they've come in there yet, and it's welcome for a small number of houses, I think 15, 16, but we have to get those small builders and people to get building. But we have to deal with the evictions. Evictions are horrific, and there's no place for them in the modern day Ireland. And we won again yesterday in Roscommon, where again, thugs from outside the jurisdiction arrived in on behalf of a bank and terrorised an old woman and threw her out on the road. This is disgraceful. People, a third force militia, I call them. They have no place in this island. We must have protections for people, and that's why I'm supporting this legislation. While I fundamentally disagree with some areas of where landlords have properties and good landlords, and we can't demonise them all as bad. We must deal with the situation where people are being forced out of their homes. Look what has happened with permanent ESP. I have sick people, very sick man, a soldier, and his wife now is out sick and stressed, who have found out this week that their loan has been sold on, who are in an arrangement at the request of the bank and paying and honouring that arrangement. And I see some murmurings today that those arrangements will be honoured by the Vulture Fund, but they won't, because there's no compulsion on them. There's no compulsion on the Vulture Funds. That's why legislation was trying to be passed here to compel them. But no, you didn't do it, Minister, because I don't know what reason you have for. I know what Michael Noonan said when he was Minister, to bring in the Vulture Fund to pick the dead carcasses. I mean, what an awful thing to say, and I respect for Minister Noonan at the time, Deputy Noonan, but it's unbelievable. But you're allowing them to cause these evictions, and you're allowing them to terrorise people. The trauma that comes with that, without any violent evictions. The sheriff is another area that must be reined in, and the laws around the sheriff's powers and offices and functions are outdated. They're there since the last century, and the monies that go to service agents and the costs that are put on top of the already hard-pressed homeowners. So people want a break. People that are in houses, many of them tried to home themselves, didn't look for a house for the state, went off and got a loan, built a house and got a site, whatever, and now that the roof has been threatened, coming up to Christmas, and celebrations everywhere, and people have been threatened with evictions. That tuggery that went on in Roscommon yesterday, it's gone on in every county in Ireland, just showing a message from these vultures and banks that they can do what they like, and Gardaí often standing idly by. I'm not blaming the local Gardaí, I'm blaming the authorities that allow these third force people to come in and park in Bradbriggan Station one day while they threw a family out on the road. It's totally unheard of. There's no place for that in a modern Ireland, in a modern democracy. So I'm appealing to you, Minister, to cut out all the talks and meetings and engagements and announcements. Get some real change in legislation here. Adopt Ed Honan's bill, but no, you won't, because you don't want to do it. Try and engage with the solidarity people who profit here in this bill. No, because you don't want to. You have all the answers, but yet you have no answer. We have 10,000 people on a housing list, 4,000 children. You should be ashamed of yourself. And I have to agree with Deputy Brown, with my erstwhile colleagues here, when we had this big announcement today, we were talking about Brexit, and I understand Brexit is very, very important, frightfully important, but to keep you in power again, to keep you in power again for another year, the people want rid of you because you have failed them, and they want rid of you. And what's going to happen is they get rid of you altogether because they'll be so disgusted with you. You know what I mean? That you're a fake opposition. That's what it is. You were all united last week when it came to abortion. You can unite if you like, but you can't, and you can unite on this, but you can't unite and build houses for people, or listen to the people who want to build houses. I mean, it's downright blackguarding and treachery you're treating the people with, and I think we're going to have to put up with you for another year is an abomination to the public and to me and many others. And I think, you know, while Brexit is so serious, certainly, but to give you another year, base banner out, the confidence and supply, it's pretty, fake when it comes to it, but a fake opposition then is totally farcical, and you're not delivering the goods for anybody, whether it's housing, health, whether it's decent jobs for people, or supporting our communities. So I don't know what's going on, or what's gone into the main opposition party, as there was supposed to be, to give so long talking about this 5 or 6 months, and to come up with these announcements today and announce that we're going to keep you in the estate cash for another year, and then we'll see. And unless something interrupts, I heard Deputy Martin, meanwhile something that G might drop the ball or whatever, you can drop the ball anytime, because you're afraid of the ball, and so are Fianna Fáil afraid of the ball, and they're afraid of the people, and they won't face them. So, Minister, a parting word, just get some houses built, keep people in their homes, change the legislation around evictions, and give people some bit of respect.